Thank you.
Valerie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and can I thank the Leader of the House for the Opposition Day. I was going to say it's 150 days since we last had the Opposition Day, but thank you for that. Could she also supply us with a new list of ministerial responsibilities? I know there's been a number of resignations and appointments, and that would help. I don't know if the Leader wants to correct the record, because she said that no-deal Brexit will not be nearly as bad as many would like to think. Now, I'd like to know if she got the 14-page memo from the Cabinet Secretary and the head of the Civil Service, Sir Mark Sedwill, who said it would be absolutely catastrophic for the country if there was a no-deal scenario, and luckily we're not going down that route. The Leader also said that all the Prime Minister had to do was persuade the German Chancellor to reopen the withdrawal agreement and remove the Irish backstop. Then a deal would be secured. But the government number 10 spokesperson said the EU was clear that that was not going to be possible. Can the Leader of the House confirm what exactly is government policy? Now, the Leader of the House made a business statement on Monday on the European Union Withdrawal No. 5 bill, and yet she didn't vote with her colleagues. I was warmly welcomed by both the Chief Whips on both sides, of the Government Chief Whip and our own Chief Whip. The absentees were the Leader of the House, the Attorney General, Secretary of State for Trade, the Secretary of State for Transport. Was the Leader at an alternative cabinet meeting? Was the Prime Minister invited to this alt-cab? I'm very pleased that the Leader has set out a number of statutory instruments. Could I ask her for the following, to be debated on the floor of the House? The opposition have prayed against EDM 2190 on higher education. It's number 543. We need it to be annulled. It sets out the fees for higher education providers. Universities UK have concerns about the fee increases. The SI came into force on the 6th of April, and it's still within the praying period. The European Statutory Instrument Committee disagreed with the government and recommended that the European University Institute regulations should be debated on the floor of the House. These regulations enable the withdrawal from the European University Institute, something that we've been a member for since 1976. Academics are up in arms, the fact that we have to withdraw from that. And also the non-contentious it sounds like a non-contentious name, but it actually is very contentious. Probate Fees Order 2018. I've raised it previously. It's in the further business B. Could the Leader assure us that there will be a debate on the floor of the House and it won't be pushed through by the government? Mr. Speaker, you granted an urgent question yesterday to my honourable friend, the member for Lancaster Fleetwood, on ID voters' pilot studies. Could the Leader confirm that every pilot study that has been applied for will come to the House for debate? It's important to have that parliamentary scrutiny. And last week we were quite rightly concerned about the gender pay gap. When is the government going to tackle the huge differentials in the pay system between executive and employee pay? The Managing Director of Waterstones, James Daunt, is being paid a salary of £1.6 million, while nearly 1,900 of his employees aren't even getting the real living wage. And the Chief Executive Officer of Centrica, who own British Gas, is paid 72 times that of an employee in the lower quartile of its salary range. The people at the base of the pyramid are the wealth creators. Could we have a report on the Bay Select Committee, chaired by my honourable friend, the member for Leeds West? And they recommended that the government can send strong signals on pay reform and give the regulator the powers and remit to ensure the highest standards of engagement with shareholders and with other stakeholders, particularly employees. Now, Mr. Speaker, for the first time we haven't been here in Parliament to wish the honourable member for Gateshead a happy birthday, which falls on Easter Sunday. And I also want to send the whole House's wishes to our gracious Sovereign, who will also have her birthday on that day. She said this, Mr. Speaker: over the years I have observed that some attributes of leadership are universal and are often about finding ways of encouraging people to combine their efforts, their talents, their insights, their enthusiasm and their inspiration to work together. We all did that when we celebrated the Good Friday Agreement, the 20th anniversary, on Wednesday. And I want to pay tribute to John Hume. He won the Nobel Peace Prize, the Martin Luther King Peace Prize and the Gandhi Peace Prize. He started the peace process. Mr. Speaker, you recall that that agreement was put to a confirmatory vote to the people of Ireland. But John Hume said this, and this is important at this time with divisions in our country. Difference is the essence of humanity. Difference is an accident of birth, and it should therefore never be the source of hatred or conflict. The answer to difference is to respect it. Therein lies a most fundamental principle of peace, respect for diversity. Mr. Speaker, I do want to welcome also our honourable friend, the member for Newport West. We look forward to her maiden speech, and if her speech when she won the seat is anything to go by, it will be absolutely fantastic, and so will her contribution to this House. And I too want to welcome Sarah Davis as the newest Clerk Assistant. To Sarah, there is no such thing as a stupid question. But I also want to thank Lawrence Liam Smith and Paul Davis. As the Clerk of the House said on the parliamentary intranet, they have covered many jobs and making this seamless in our work for Parliament. And, Mr. Speaker, you are an internet sensation. Apparently in Europe, they think you can only say 4 words: order, order, ayes and noes. But they do like you. And I want to thank you and the Deputy Speakers, your office, for their unfailing courtesy and kindness. Thank you to the Sergeant-at-Arms for all his work, Phil and his doorkeepers, the House of Commons Library, the official reporters, the Vote Office who've had to work overtime on printing amendments, the catering and cleaning staff, the postal workers, the police officers and all the security officers on the estate. Our staff and the staff of all the political parties, they're unseen, but they've worked incredibly hard. Mr. Speaker, not a single person has complained about working extra time to enable us to do our work, and we thank them all. So thank you, everybody, and I wish you all a happy and peaceful Easter.